As we all understand, this new time has changed how we behave in ways large and small. And in case you need a little guidance, Erin Moriarty knows just who to turn to.
Dear Social Cues, I plan to interview writer Philip Galanes for CBS Sunday Morning, and then several people in my office building tested positive for the coronavirus. Do I need to warn him before I show up at his door?
Absolutely. It is what every single person in the country is thinking about and worried about.
These are all your most recent.
These are the ones that have come in.
And whom better to turn to at a time like this than Philip Galanes himself. For nearly 12 years, he's been the wise and witty writer of Social Cues, the column that helps readers of the New York Times resolve social dilemmas. From how to say no to friends seeking an invite to your summer home, to dealing with grief at a cocktail party. You say it's not an etiquette column, but it's social questions. So what do you do?
As long as it's about an awkward relationship between people, I want to be there to help you.
And this pandemic has created all kinds of new conflicts to wrestle with.
The questions that I'm getting on coronavirus are so heartbreaking because they're the regular letters, but they have now an element of danger or an element of something more moving.
I'm a 15-year-old boy, and I finally have a girlfriend. Yay. I was so excited to ask her to the prom, but our school canceled prom because of the coronavirus. I literally went up to my bedroom and started to cry.
The question was there anything he could substitute for a prom at his school to make this special moment with his girlfriend still come off? And I thought, oh, I love this.
These days, Galanes, a 57-year-old lawyer, is writing his advice column at his home in East Hampton.
He's about to yawn.
Where he and his husband, architect Michael Haverland, are writing out this pandemic. Why you? What makes you qualified to help people with their social dilemmas?
There's a tradition of advice columnists. There's Dear Abby, there's Ann Landers. They were like lovely yentas who wanted to help people out, and so am I.
As a child, Galanes read Dear Abby aloud to his parents and younger brothers at the breakfast table.
I loved the idea that there would be a problem, and there would be a definite solution to the problem, and Dear Abby had it.
But Galanes never imagined the problems his family would face when he was 23 and his seemingly serene father took his own life.
If you could have known my dad, you wouldn't have, you would think there isn't a nicer guy. He was so sweet and so shy and so good. The fact that somebody like
Galanes was devastated that he had missed the signs.
The fact that that could happen to him makes me think that everyone has got something.
He later wrote a novel inspired by his father's suicide, masking his pain with humor.
This is before the first column.
That caught the eye of a New York Times editor, and in 2008, Social Cues was born.
When I started, I played things for humor. I played things for snark. I slapped people.
Like the woman who wrote,
"My boyfriend assumed I was Jewish when we met on JDate, a website for Jewish singles. Now I'm afraid he's going to dump me because I didn't tell the truth. What should I do?"
Galanes wasn't kind.
Her name was Christiana, like a typically Jewish name.
Yeah, he really should have known.
He wasn't a rocket scientist either. But I said, where to next, Christiana? Gay.com?
Readers loved it. So you were using the column early on really to entertain the readers as opposed to enlighten.
It took me 4 years to figure out the volume of letters that were coming in from people who were really hurting, I think as much as I was hurting.
But over time, the column, like Galanes, became much more empathetic.
I was a funny writer, definitely. I'll give myself that, but it wasn't what we needed.
So his needed advice for the woman on an airplane who took this video of a man punching the back of her reclined seat?
No excuse for hitting the back of someone's seat or kicking it, but that impulse that she had is the impulse that I hate. The impulse to film you and put it on the internet and hope that he's shamed into being a different person.
He wants to encourage people to be kinder, even now in this pandemic, as panic shoppers appear to fight for toilet paper and groceries. Someone buys up all the bread. Do you say something?
Do you want a loaf of bread, or are you just being a community policer?
So that's your answer.
Yeah, my answer is,
Don't say anything.
and I know how hard it is, because trust me, there's nobody who wants to shout at that woman buying all the bread like I do. But I've really, not all the time, but a lot of the time learned, I don't need to police what is right and what's wrong, because, for all we know, she's making lunches for the entire East Hampton elementary school.
And remember the teenager whose prom was canceled? Galanes offers sympathy and an answer.
He's going to have a private prom. It's going to be for him and his girlfriend. They're going to get just as dressed up as they were. He's going to ask her to his house in just the way he was going to ask her to the prom, and they're going to have a nice dance.
That is, of course, with some social distancing in mind. Pandemic or not, Philip Galanes is in the end an optimist. He often sees people at their worst, but believes in their best, and thinks this current crisis is an opportunity.
And this is the part that I'm waiting to see with coronavirus, and I know it's coming because we lived through 9/11 this way. Do you remember when people started opening doors for each other? And we started seeing each other in a community? There's that way of looking out for each other. I know it's coming.